Hello there, people! Because it seems to be a weird day of Quake levels that are actually Doom levels, we're gonna check out another Doomish Quake level hybrid thing. Yeah, totally. That's exactly the idea. After all the Doom 2 Doom 2 map 1s, this at least adds a variety and whatnot. So anyway, let's see here. This is going to be Doom 2 Map 7 by Paradox. So, yeah, Map 7 of Doom 2. Oh god, what in God's name one is that one? I think that is dead simple? Which means it's a relatively simple one, isn't it? That wouldn't surprise me at all. One of the easiest maps probably to make in Doom 2 is done there. And yeah, it is. The map 7 is dead simple. So needless to say, relatively small, very basic map if it's going to try and do something imitating dead simple. And yeah, we saw UNM1 last time, which was really not that fancy, so this is even less fancy. It doesn't have any single player. It's just totally a deathmatch based level again. But yeah, it's another remake of it. Anyway, this is going to be a good remake of Doom 2 Map 7 with a few twists. This level was made one night at QuakeCon, so it might as well be the official QuakeCon level. Anyway, yeah, he has no idea if this is the official QuakeCon level. Like I said, it was made at QuakeCon, which is really, really curious and whatnot, because that was like the big event of 1996, late 1996, as like the big celebration of Quake coming out. And this is exactly what kind of was created from it. And the interesting thing is the author of this particular level, Tom Mustaine, which is a rather significant name because his also a username is known as Paradox, and that's where you get Paradox as like the name. But he's basically the head of Hipnotic Interactive, and Hipnotic Interactive is what created Scourge of Armagon in the next year. So this is basically the precursor to Scourge of Armagon in a way. Kind of like, whatchamacallit. We saw one of these guys, I believe, made something and then, like, joined Hypnotic. I believe it was, I want to say, no, not Jim Lowell. Oh, God, yeah, who in God's name was it? I think it was the guy who did Armageddon 2? Yeah, I think so. I think it's the guy who did Armageddon 2. What God's name his was. But I believe he jumped from project to project. I don't believe he worked on Armagon, though. I believe he basically came in after that and worked on the next game that they made, which I believe was, I want to say, Prey? So, yeah, lots of different historical little things around this particular time, and this has a rather significant one. Anyway, Tom Mustaine is responsible for a lot of different things. He's responsible for the master levels of Doom 2. He's responsible for stuff in Final Doom, one of the biggest Doom 2 add-ons being commercially supported by id Software. He also did Perdition's Gate and Hell to Pay, as well as the massive and well-known Memento Mori pack. So, needless to say, he's rather significant. And like I said, if you're talking Quake, he's even significant because of the large number of levels that he made for Scourge of Armagon, which we'll definitely get to eventually. So, needless to say, rather significant. Anyway, he also gives additional credits to Drist for the PC use for making this level, and Billy Zelsnak for Geo. Whatever in God's name is that? Drist? I don't know. Is that a name I know? I don't think so. But it sounds somewhat familiar, like someone gave him credit before. But yeah, it's too obscure of a name for me to really like bring much attention to that. Plus, it's just a credit to someone anyway. Anyway, let's see here. This is basically the rough layout of Doom 2 Map 7, etched in his head from Hours of Deathmatch. So, really, this is not one copy directly. Yeah, it's more something that's going to be roughly translated. So, needless to say, it could definitely have some differences here. Now, the interesting thing is the editors used. We've seen a lot of different editors that have been used for Quake, and now I'm seeing 3 different ones that have nothing to do with what I've seen up to this point. I have no idea what God's name these are, but, yeah. It's something called Geo, and, well, Geo 4E and Geo 4 specifically. I've never heard of this. I'm not sure if it's ever been used for another Quake level in existence. Yeah, we've seen a lot of different Quake editors, and yeah, I have never heard of this one anywhere. We do have an old web page for this one, but I doubt it'll work in like any archiver. Mainly because I can imagine it's going to say something about spiders crawling and all that. All the fun stuff that means it won't freaking work, because who in God's name would remember this random side thing? And yeah, it's made by Billy Zelznick or whatever. Like I said, I don't even think anyone in the history of anything would remember this particular editor. It's a really weird editor. And he also used edit.com, which I don't even know what that is. It's really strange stuff. You know, let's see here. We are seeming to get something from the archive. I'm not sure if it's going to give me anything, though. I'd like to actually see if it gives me some links. It looks like it's going to be dead links, though. It looks like even the earliest from 1999 with totally dead links. So needless to say, I'm getting 0 information whatsoever on this thing. The only thing I could hope for is to, like, look it up by using Billy Zelznick as a name. But at this point, I feel rather skeptical about even that. So, needless to say, this is a rather weird one. It exists, it's a thing, it's an editor. But it's one that I have never heard of. And yeah, I don't believe we have it anywhere. Like, let's actually look in the Aftershock toolbox. Because we have a list of different editors in there. Let's see, is any of them ones that I have yet to touch? Let's see here. Actually, it'd be better to look on. It's kind of funny, but thank God for the wiki or whatnot, because the original documentation for this stuff is really, really horrible to sift through. So it's much easier just for me to wait a second, load up the internet, and get on here in order to see that. Yeah, I'm seeing Billy Zelznick was an editor for id Software, and that he did different things, but I'm not really seeing an editor. If I do like Geo and type in Geo with it, I'm not sure if I'll like get anything or what. Like I said, it's rather weird. Like I said, how obscure this one is. But at the same time, he seems to have made a name for himself. So it's a guy who made a name for himself while using one of the most obscure editors out there, to a point that I think almost every other editor I've heard of is more well known than this one. It's really, really curious, to say the least. Let's see here. I need to see the level editors. Yeah, needless to say, none of them that I'm really like seeing anything that is anything at all. Well, ain't that brilliant? Yeah, definitely no names that I recognize. Let's see here, Geo. Nothing. Well, that was a waste of time. I was trying to find something, trying to find some reference whatsoever to this freaking editor, because that's driving me nuts. That we have this editor that he made, I think, yeah, we can definitely tell it's some old DOS editor. That's about all we really know. But yeah, needless to say, it's very, very old, and apparently does not really exist anywhere on the internet. That's an exciting concept, isn't it? But yeah, apparently he seems to have been part of 3D Realms, and a lot of them. So yeah, this is one of the big names, needless to say. He was one of the big people that made editors and all that stuff. One of the big people that like made a name for himself in the business, Billy Zelznick. And Tom Mustaine, like I said, is another big name. So that's not surprising at all. They're all like tied together people. Anyway, he says basically to use no exit. The pit with the exit in it is a fun place to get nuked when trying to escape. So let's see here. Other than that, he gives a link that he's probably dead as well. He wants people to send him demos, and this is most likely his last free Quake level. So yeah, this was basically what he was doing before he made Scourge of Armagon. So needless to say, rather impressive to actually see that name, though the level itself might be just a boring deathmatch level inspired entirely by a Doom level, which is definitely something, I guess. It's better than your normal boring deathmatch level that has no purpose whatsoever. So it does have some tie to something in the form of Doom 2, and it's made by a relatively big name. So yeah, this is almost a case whereby the name is bigger than the level is going to be, but historically speaking, this is probably one of the bigger ones we could check out. I think it's like DM... That wouldn't make any sense though. Or is it D2? Yeah, D2 Map7 is the file name. So we type in D2 Map07. And we'll get to check out Dead Simple, which is, like I said, a very small level. Dead Simple was always a small level. So you see all the guns are thrown literally right here. So if you wanted a complex level with a lot to do, this might not be your level. As said, this is really more about the person who designed it than the level itself. Because, like I said, this right here is basically the precursor to Scourge of Armagon, which is really a fascinating thing when you think of it. That this is the same guy who will go on to make Scourge of Armagon stuff. So, yeah, you guys said I wasn't doing anything Scourge of Armagon. That was a Scourge of Armagon ATS. Here's Scourge of Armagon beta version. Something like that, yeah. We need some Doom soundtrack music. You know, that's kind of the one con of actually using CD audio tracks. Nobody really could include, like, their own custom music. In fact, where is the music? You would think he would have used music. Let me actually make sure, before I really get too far into this, that there's no music, like, supposed to be playing. Because it surprised to me that someone of this caliber is not adding, like, music to it. Normally people of this caliber would add, like, music to their tracks. No, he didn't at all. It was a really basic level. Well, that's beside the point. So we're seeing a person who made a Scourge of Armagon level, not even add the music track to his level. That's really curious. I would have expected more from this guy. But, yeah, you get your 4 guns here. In fact, this is pretty much all your guns, including your rocket launcher. So much for making the rocket launcher hard to get. The only thing that really looks like it's going to be hard to get is that quad damage up there. How does one get up there? I'm assuming there's, like, elevators on the sides? That sounds like the most practical way. Or it's just ramps. That's another route. Okay, and we also have some more ammo up here on these different corners. Looks like it's going to be rockets and some gun. So as you see, we're just going to head down. It's very symmetrical to what we saw on the inner side. So yeah. And here's the exit right over here. So, right beside the grenade launcher. So we'll go in there in a second because there's really not much to this level, as said. We'll head up here and we have the 4 guns again. It's the same mindset as the other freaking floors. So here's another grenade launcher. Very, very, very repetitive in its gun choices because we already have all the guns. Okay, you just stand here. It takes a minute for like to load, so it's not exactly hard to reach. And am I floating in midair? I think I'm floating in midair, people. I was. There's like an invisible block there that holds up the quad damage. And so as I hit that, it actually knocks me off it. That's definitely interesting. Yeah, it tries to make it look like it's floating in the air, but because of its design, that ends up becoming a problem. So, needless to say, we get on here, we move across, and we're going to hit a point. Or we're not going to hit a point. Maybe because it's on this side. Okay, so now we move across. We're going to hit that halfway point. As you see now, I'm just stuck in midair. If I try and move, I'm going to fall. But it's like, this is going to move back. It's like a very small platform, as you see. If I move just a slight inch forward, it'll knock me off too. But it's like you have that slight area, just a very thin platform, where you could basically stand on it. It's kind of funny, but yeah, you could stand right here and like just kill everything. I wonder if you could like rocket jump by it. It's so small you can't even rocket jump on it. So yeah, if I was like move, I'd fall right off. But yeah, just a little tiny platform allows access between the different areas. As I said, really not much fancy. One stupid question. Can I rocket jump up there? It looks like the skybox is pretty tight, but I'm curious. Yeah, there's no way up there. It's pretty tight, the walls. You know, because I knew Scourge of Armagon had like some Easter eggs involving rocket jump, so I had to make sure. With that in mind, it's really the level. It's really nothing fancy. Okay, and here we are with a pit into the floor. Let's go. And there we are. Level complete. Even though it's a deathmatch level. And it leads to DM6 for some reason. Gotta love sometimes when they do really weird choices for like the next level. But I guess DM6 actually makes sense a little bit because it is one of the most popular of deathmatch levels. Especially at this time. I think DM6 was probably the level to play back then, so needless to say, probably makes sense to swap you between those two. But yeah, really not much to really say about this one. It's a deathmatch level. It's a relatively simple, basic Doom 2 remake. But yeah, like I said, what really brings attention to this one is the name, is the fact that it is one of the biggest names in the industry at this particular time. And therefore, it's a name that kind of makes it interesting to check out just because of that one reason. So yeah, with that in mind, thank you all for watching. It's been an adventure. I shall see you all, hopefully in something a bit more substantial and more than just someone's name. See you all then!